SBN, Sports Business Now. SBN is a division of Row 27, the digital sports marketing company, celebrating 5 years of creating TV spots, intro videos, and microsites for over 150 teams. See our work at row27.com. And by FanMaker, digital marketing tools for sports teams, featuring FanMaker Rewards, the most comprehensive and popular fan loyalty and reward system. Learn more about our apps at fanmaker.com. SBN Live.
Hey everybody, and welcome to SBN Live. I'm Holly Koski, and SBN Live talks about all of the latest news concerning the sports business world from the week. And joining me, as always, Jason Cole and Max Huber. How's it going, guys?
Great, Holly. How are you?
Good, good, Max.
I'm wonderful. Been a busy day, and excited to do this.
Oh, you're too kind, Max.
This is the best part of my week right here. Sitting
Well,
in
good.
this chair.
I'm glad that you feel that way.
Just don't tell my boss I said that.
Oh, okay. Who's sitting 2 seats away? But anyways,
It's a moot point.
Today's show is very tech-slanted, starting off with YouTube kind of launching a paywall system where it's, basically having to pay a fee in order to view the channel. And, this is definitely the start of more monetization options within YouTube. Subscriptions to these channels will start at 99 cents a month, so very affordable, with a free 14-day trial period as well. And, there's channels from Sesame Street all the way to, more news-oriented channels, and the PGA Golf Academy and UFC are a couple of the sports entities that have gotten involved in this. PGA, they have a section of free videos, but then they have also another section of paid videos teaching technique, chipping, putting, all of that. And then the UFC channel, UFC Channel Select, is full event replays, which is kind of cool, classic fights, and full episodes of UFC shows like UFC Unleashed and The Ultimate Fighter. So do you guys think the average Joe sports fan would pay for a YouTube channel such as this one?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just another sort of evolution in the cord cutting that's happening. I mean, we see this mass escalation for live sporting events in cable, and it's largely driven by the fact you need to get a viewer to actually buy and watch something.
Right.
There's a ton of sporting content that people want to see, and if they just want to pay for it a la carte, this is an option that I think will evolve over the next 10 years to be fairly significant.
It's extremely affordable, especially for somebody like myself that doesn't like to spend money on cable and other things of that nature. So especially if you're a hardcore UFC fan, hardcore into any of these other avenues that are going to be available on YouTube, it makes perfect sense for only 99 cents. You're going to spend $12 a year.
Right.
You're going to get exclusive content. It just provides you with that other avenue to really reach out there. So I think it's a good idea. Personally, myself, if it would have to be something really in my wheelhouse for me to spend money on it. Possibly. But I mean, I've got Netflix and I've got Amazon Prime, so this is just one more thing, but it's more content down another road that people can subscribe to as well. So
I think this obviously makes sense for like a PGA Tour where there is such a huge instruction component. Think obviously UFC is a great fit for this as well, but it's interesting that they have full event replays available, and I'm wondering if people will just wait to see it on YouTube rather than pay. No, you don't think so?
No. I mean, the people that are buying it want to see it as it happens.
That's very true.
You don't want to wait 24 hours to watch a replay on YouTube after they already know the outcome. It's nowhere near as fun. I mean, it's like watching the Super Bowl on tape delay.
Right.
Unless you kind of have, the only way I could see that working is if it's almost like a retro channel with, bringing back 80s, 90s, and even beyond that, 60s, 70s, having full WrestleMania events, having full Super Bowls, things of that nature where people would, you might not be able to get that all the time online. So if you have that sort of channel and you're able to
No, I mean, if you
want.
have, that's a great point. If you have access, like paid access to the archives that so many of these entities have, like NFL films where you can go back and watch the Ice Bowl, that's incredible. That's worth, that's worth a subscription right there, just to know that you can, not that you actually would most of the time. And obviously, by being on YouTube, none of these entities have to worry about the streaming costs or hosting costs associated with it.
Right. And, I know we talked about the MLB getting on YouTube now officially as a brand a couple of weeks ago. So it might be interesting if they kind of move towards a subscription-based model to access those old school games like Jason was talking about there. So interesting to keep an eye on in the near future. And then another great new kind of addition to YouTube is they're trying to make some of these channels and videos shoppable, meaning so it's kind of just shortening the path to purchase, basically. And Unilever is Google's first, client to get access to this new technology through their hair care brand TRESemmé. So obviously they have a YouTube channel, and they are going to try and push their products on these videos, so users can literally click inside the video to see, and then get directed to, the sales point of sale site. So obviously this is only in consumer goods right now, but we were talking a little bit about it before the show, but do you think this could translate to sports?
I think it's going to translate to anything. I mean, you could be watching a highlight of a baseball game and like click here to get the official team jersey. I mean, whatever it might be. This is a really cool integration for YouTube. It's something I feel like has probably been missing for a long period of time, and definitely from being a content-focused marketer, that makes all the sense in the world. Like this TRESemmé implementation was excellent.
Right, Max.
I definitely think that it's a pretty cool thing. Like we were talking about, if you see a pair of Nike shoes, if you, like Jason mentioned, if you see a jersey, you could even turn this into, like you hear the song on there and you're able to click and almost instant. Go to iTunes and instantly download it. So there are a lot of different avenues you could go in the sports realm. If they could somehow connect with a ticket provider, and then like, hey, you're watching a Tampa Bay Lightning video clip, and you're able to click this and go to BeTheThunder.com and get tickets. So I don't know, maybe there's some avenues that way. But
shameless plug.
Shameless plug. But definitely there's some pretty cool things that not only sports teams but other merchandisers can do.
Yeah, definitely. Like Jason said, an element that it was missing from YouTube, and it's interesting, these different monetization techniques and kind of avenues that they're going towards here. And speaking of another social network, Twitter has expanded their partnership with ESPN, by bringing video highlights in a Twitter stream, and therefore growing new ad sources. So I'm sure we've talked about this before, but ESPN and Twitter have had a relationship starting with college football. And Ford would have an ad that would stream just right in front of the video that was embedded in Twitter. And now they are, kind of focusing on soccer matches leading up to the World Cup, again, NCAA football games and the X Games. And so this new partnership really signals that the TV network which being ESPN, will sell ads that will run inside these video clips. And, these sponsors will then promise to buy a promoted post on Twitter. So it's kind of a win-win for both ESPN and Twitter. Where do you guys see this going, and what are your thoughts on it?
It'll be interesting to see the numbers on it. I think this type of integration, when you look at actually purchasing or being a buyer for advertising, or how you place that from a strategic point of view, having this level of integration is something people have long seek to accomplish from multiple avenues. So having a one-stop shop for combining your social media and TV buys is definitely going to be attractive. I mean, I think it'll be really successful for them as far as what the ROI proves out to be. It'll be kind of interesting.
For somebody like me, I do a lot of scrolling through Twitter, and very seldom am clicking on something, so anybody that would be spending money in one of these videos that you need to click on, they might not reach somebody like myself.
Right,
like I said, I will click on things, but a lot of it's just to scrolling where I'm a headline person, just to see what the headline note is there. So like Jason mentioned, to see what the ROI is, to see what the numbers of people that actually are able to view those. Obviously, it's great. It's another way to reach a core group of people, but you might still be missing out on people without having the exact message in the tweet itself.
Yeah, I think that's the exact point I was kind of alluding to, because I don't watch much video from Twitter. I mean, there are other social networks that I'll go and watch video on, but I mean, as far as Twitter, it's kind of like a discovery tool for reading material, or at least that's how I generally use it.
Right. I think the kicker in this new partnership, or I guess expanded partnership, is the fact that along with, so say Ford buys an ad buy-in on ESPN and wants their ad to be shown in the Twitter stream, for a college football game, they'll actually have to buy a promoted post on Twitter. So you'll see that at least, eventually. You might be a scroller where you might not see the ad, but you'll see the Twitter promoted post. So I think...
Which that makes me want to click on it so much.
Exactly.
I have an old school phone right now, but do they have it where you can actually open the video in Twitter, or does it will it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because I mean that is something where on Facebook now you're able to click on a video and it'll open it in there instead of kicking you out to a third party site. So maybe they'll see some increased numbers based on the fact that you can open it and view it right in there. But I don't know.
I think their platforms that they're going after as well is pretty telling of who they're trying to go after, as far as World Cup, college football, and then X Games. So to me, that skews a little younger in terms of just demographics. So that could be something to keep an eye on as well. And now, Google Glass is starting to really make a splash. People are finally kind of getting them and trying them out. And so, we talked about how Google Glass could really apply to the sports industry with Gary Vaynerchuk, and the University of South Carolina has really experimented with their own Google Glass by the Griner Cam. So basically they, put a camera on their catcher's mask for, a baseball game, and you can see there, it's providing some really cool content, really interesting viewpoint. You'll see later on in this video, you'll see the actual at-bats, which is pretty cool. Just him putting on the mask there. And, this is something that teams could totally utilize. Yeah, it's a little violent when, he throws off the mask or what have you. But I feel like this is a really interesting viewpoint and kind of their hacked version of Google Glass.
Yeah, that's really cool. And it's exactly what we're talking about. And the thing, people are like, oh, well, it's geeky or whatever it is. I mean, wearable electronics, this type of thing, this is like the Zach Morris cell phone right now. Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be standard fare, and all the utilizations that it opens up are going to be a lot of fun to take part in.
Yeah.
I mean, just looking at how the Recon Jet and they just look awkward on somebody's face.
Yeah, we'll get to the
moment.
Recon Jet in a second.
I know, but just looking at it, they're just awkward. For something like this, it's great. It gives you that different perspective. I wonder if a team would actually be able to use that as a scouting tool, where if they're able to tap into it and, understand how the pitcher and catcher communicate just by seeing that, where it could end up being a disadvantage to South Carolina. I mean, I don't know how high quality is and how close and detailed you can get on the pitcher, but it's still a pretty cool concept. Gives you that different point of view, and it's probably going to make me sick if I keep watching it.
Yeah, I think the catcher is definitely a cool viewpoint where you can see the ball coming in, but like when you flips off the mask, that's a little bit of an issue for the viewer. But kind of along the same vein here, there's also kind of a sports version of Google Glass, that being the Recon Jet, and it's kind of, those are some of the specs right there, and kind of made for more of the extreme sports, so skiing, snowboarding, mountain biking, things like that. It could be awesome for. And so it's scheduled for release later this year, and it has its own developer platform and tools. There you can see it on the golf course, which is pretty unique, and again, another great use of it. And so, you know, kind of going forward, I know you kind of alluded to it on how they just look awkward, but what are your thoughts on this type of technology here? Jason? Or Max? Sure.
I think we're going to see a ton of people try to enter the space and try to be the front range and try to be the primary player. You know, I'm sure Samsung, Apple, everyone's going to come out with a product similar to this. So whether Google Glass becomes the wearable,
right.
I don't really know. And I think you'll see a lot more failure in the space than you do success. It's going to be one of those things, like you'll recognize the game-changing moment probably about 6 months after it happened.
Yep.
The thing I like about these Recon Jet ones is they're very sporty looking.
Yeah,
and
it's like a sunglasses.
Yeah,
too.
Being a runner, I could see, and they just showed the clip of the golf and trying to figure out what club. It would be great if integrate GPS into something like this. You're able to tell what your speed is. Jason and I, after runs each morning, we always talk about how far we went, distance, pace, and everything. To have that just pop up right in your line of vision without having to look down at your watch, without having to hit buttons, is absolutely amazing to me. All these people that are marathon runners or just recreational runners, to get all that information right in your line of sight at any given moment is unbelievable, and it would be very enticing to me to purchase.
Yeah, or if you need to speed up to meet like a personal
Right.
goal.
No, that's spot on. I haven't even thought about that. Having a heads-up display of the stuff that sits on your phone on most tracking apps right now would be amazing.
I can see this space being totally infiltrated by Nike in terms of.
I think if this evolves into being primarily a sporting mechanism, if it's not like something that's broad-based, I totally see Nike and Under Armour really trying to dominate it.
Yeah, no, very, very cool stuff. Yeah, great point about the whole running situation.
I mean, like I said, just being a runner, it would be awesome to have that. Just got a new watch, but to have that right here, I really think that they could make huge strides in that market with how many runners there are, how many marathons there are. Bring that to a marathon expo, and you're going to sell. Yeah,
but at the same point in time, I mean, that you can have all that stuff about this exact piece of hardware.
Right.
I mean, if you had a Google Glass out there, you just need to write an app to basically plug in the Nike Plus app for it, and you have all that functionality right there.
Right.
So yeah, exciting times in the tech world and in sports with YouTube and Google Glass and ESPN and Twitter. So thank you guys for sharing your insights today.
You are welcome.
And thank you for joining us. We will see you on Tuesday for Sports Marketing Now, and you can find us anytime on sportsbusinessnow.com or on Twitter at SBNow. We'll see you next time.
SBN, Sports Business Now.